family. Welcome back to DLoveJourney. This channel is all about mind, body, and spiritual wellness. If you are a newbie here, hi. My name is Tydeja, and I appreciate you joining us. Our community guidelines are simple: know thyself, love thyself, be thyself. If that's something that you can get down with, hit the subscribe button, join our community. We'd love to have you. For all of my returning friends and family, hey, we're going to jump into our regular little book review. I have all of my fall readings here. It is quite a lot, so if you're interested in seeing what I read this fall and seeing if any of these are a good pick for you, then stay tuned. We will jump right into it. So like I mentioned in the intro, these are the books I read in fall. Now, I love to read. I was a big reader as a kid. However, as adulthood, you don't get to read as much. Reading became a luxury for me. So I've been making it a really big point, all last year especially and into this year, to read more because I love it and I should make time to do what I love. So feeding the inner child in me, I want to share with you the books I read during the fall. Now, winter has started. I did start reading for winter, but what I'll do is I'll share with you guys all of those books at a later time. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. I found this journal. It's a book lover's journal at Target, and it says I'm booked all week. They have little rating systems and all that good stuff. So if you have a local Target, I would recommend going to look for this. This is what it looks like. Maybe you can find it on Amazon. I'm not sure. It's by Design Works. So yeah, look it up. It's really cute. I love it. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'll be referring to today. The first book I read is called A Court of Thorns and Roses. This book is by Sarah J. Maas. She has like a bunch of different series. This is a 5-book series, and this is book number 1. So the genre of this is dark fantasy romance, and honey, the sexual tension is definitely in this one. Your discretion is advised. Okay, so I will say this book is not exactly what I expected. One of the reasons I chose this book is an old supervisor of mine had recommended it. She started reading the box set, and she said that this book literally kept her up all night. Literally all night. So I was like, okay, I'm always here for a dark, sexy fantasy. Like, who doesn't love that? A week or so to read. It's pretty thick, but it's good. So quick summary, let me tell you guys. This is about a 19-year-old huntress. Her name's Feyre. She kills a wolf in the woods while desperately hunting to feed her family. A terrifying creature comes to claim retribution, and she's dragged into a treacherous, magical land where a wicked shadow is growing, and she must find a way to stop it or doom everything. Dun dun dun. So yeah, I really liked it. It was juicy. Some people say that the following books aren't as good as this first one. I don't know if I'm going to commit to the whole box set or not. We'll see. I'll probably read the second one, and then if it's not giving, then I'm not going to finish it. My favorite quote from the book, bear with me, it's long. It says, "I've had many lovers, females of noble births, warriors, princesses, but they never understood what it was like, what it is like for me to care for my people, my lands, what scars are still there, and what bad days feel like. This reminds me," and when he's saying this, he's talking to her, "this reminds me of it, that I'm not alone." I'm like, ooh, yes. So yeah, some of the highlights definitely were this fated relationship that goes on between 2 of the main characters. There's a bunch of sexual tension, so if you're in the hot and heavy fantasy realm, I would definitely recommend this. The main character definitely made one bad decision after another, so that's pretty entertaining to watch as she fumbles through the journey. But overall, there was a pretty good climatic ending, and it left me ready to read the next book. So, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see what it's about. The next book I read was called Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. So this is a thriller, and it was just okay. Just okay. So this is a very popular writer. Again, he does a lot of psychological thrillers, and things like that. This wasn't the best book I've read from him. However, it was okay. This one took me a while because I forgot it at work often, which tells you exactly how interested I was in it. But I ended up finishing it a little under 2 weeks. The worst thing was that it wasn't as dark as I expected it to be, and I guess that says something about my sick, twisted fantasy mind, but like, it just wasn't as dark as I expected it to be. I mean, it's a cool story. It does kind of keep you on edge in a little sense, but yeah, it didn't quite pack the punch that I expected. So that's why I said it's just okay. What is it about? Let me tell you, girl, let me tell you. The worst thing that ever happened on Hemlock Circle occurred in Ethan Marsh's backyard. One July night, 10-year-old Ethan and his best friend Billy camped in the backyard of their suburban home to wake in the morning and find Billy gone and the tent slashed open. 30 years later, Ethan returns to his childhood home when things start getting weird and he's forced to investigate past tragedies. So, yeah, I mean, it was a nice, good, light read. There were a lot of like flashback moments that kind of gave you other perspectives. I like seeing each different perspective of all the people involved. I'm always a person who's going to like multiple point of view reads. That's just me because I'm into sociology and that's what I do. I like seeing everybody's perspective. But yeah, I must say the plot twist was a little overrated, dare I say. But yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's a little vanilla for my liking. One of my favorite quotes, should I care that I'm a little weird? And he responds, all you should care about is being yourself, no matter who that person is. Some people might not like you for who you are, but a whole bunch of people will, I promise. Talk about great advice for a kid. Yes, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. People think you're weird. People think you're standoffish. People think you're ingenuine. People think whatever they want to think about you. That's fine. If they took the time to get to know you, they might think differently and they might not. But at the end of the day, the people who are meant to like you, who are meant to connect with you, who are meant to think you're cool, will find your weird cool. Okay? Period. So let me tell you about my next read. For those of my spiritual babes out there, it is The West African Religion, Study of Beliefs and Practices of the Akan, Iwe, Yoruba, Igbo, and Kindred Spirits. So this was written by Jeffrey Perriender. This is a nonfiction kind of research book. So for my fiction babes, maybe not the pick for you. But I will say, even for my spiritual babes, this is a thick read, okay? This was a very time-consuming read for me. I will say it was not what I expected. It was very informative, but it was just very thick. This is more of like a research. This is from the anthropology perspective of going into different cultures and tribes and actually researching and investigating their practices and their beliefs from a hands-on, one-on-one, first-person experience. And it kind of compiles the research and experiences of multiple people who practice anthropology and went into these communities and learned about their different cultures and practices. So if you're into that kind of thing, then I would say this is a great read. This is something that will tell you a lot about different African spiritual religions, traditions, and not even just the religion, but the actual people themselves, their culture, their practices, not just in a religious standpoint, but just like birthing ceremonies and rituals in terms of how celebrations for births, birthdays, deaths, marriages, just all of the things about what make us human within each subset of different communities in West Africa. This is not just the basic Orisha ancestor reverence kind of book. This is really like the real tribes and communities within West Africa and learning more about that. If you're into that, I would pick it up for sure. You can get it on Amazon. The author does pay homage to the works he used, and there's a lot of references and list of countless books, research papers, authors that he used as sources, which would be a nice like list of works that you can go through and get more information about a certain culture or a certain tribe or, you know, a certain place within West Africa. So that was pretty cool. All right, second, third, fourth. This is the fourth book I read this fall. This book is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is a classic self-help book, New York Times bestseller, and this is one of the most popular books you will see online for those of you who are into self-help. I read this because it was a popular cult classic, of course, in the self-help realm, and I would say that this was refreshingly helpful and simple. So I read this within a week for sure. It was a pretty quick, light read. It had a lot of different things you can implement into practice to help you form better habits. So this book claims to provide an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. It boasts tiny changes and remarkable results. And it's an easy to understand guide for making good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible, reshaping the way you think about progress, and gives you the tools and techniques you need to transform your habits and achieve success that lasts. So yeah, I would say that this has definitely given me a different way to look at my habits. There are some tools in there that were more easier to implement than others, but overall it was a good read. I think everyone should get a copy, something you would come back to regularly. Next one. Okay. This is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Okay, this is a novel. It's supposed to be kind of a feel-good, charming read. I read this book because it was literally recommended, and I saw this book as some of the new books that came out last year, so I was kind of interested because it was like one of the highly acclaimed new books of 2024, but the girl who recommended it said she was a little disappointed in it. I think she was right. It was a little disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. So this one I read in about a week and a half. Let me tell you what it's about. Tova Sullivan, a widow whose son disappeared, works night shift at the Solwell Bay Aquarium. She befriends a giant Pacific octopus named Marcellus, who is wise beyond expectation. This friendship takes on the challenge of solving Tova's son's mysterious disappearance. So I do like, to be positive, I do like that this does share a story from multiple perspectives. So it definitely shifts from one perspective to the next. There are about 3 main characters in this book that you get to go through their perspective as the story progresses. My favorite part about this book is the octopus. His perspective, Marcellus, he's dark. Okay. He sees it. He's spicy. He has dry humor. You know, he's the best part of this book to me. Overall, honestly, I was hoping for more. When I finished the book, I was kind of like wanting to throw it against the wall because I felt like I wasted a lot of time reading it. It didn't seem like as much of a waste until you hit like the plot twist, but it was so obvious. And then it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen? And then it's like, wow, okay. So yeah, I mean, it definitely is a feel-good book. There's like a witty side to it that's present, but honestly, it was not my favorite style of reading or writing. Maybe this would be something for more people who are into happy stories or into, you know, non-spice books. Okay. So the next book I read, and you'll see here I have a good mix of like fiction, nonfiction. So the next one I read is actually nonfiction. This is another self-help book. It's called 3 Feet from Gold, and the writer is Sharon Letcher and Dr. Gregory Reed. This is from the famous Napoleon Foundation. So for those of you who are familiar with Napoleon, he also has a lot of great books on print. They're like Think and Grow Rich, Outwitting the Devil, which is one of my personal favorites, and I found Outwitting the Devil to be life-changing. If you haven't read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, go get that book. That is cult classic. You need it, okay? So I got this because I'm like, okay, that was good. Let me try this. I really love this book. Now, this is like classic, like a business builder kind of book. You know, this is classic business book. People who are like entrepreneurs or who are business owners read a lot of Napoleon Hill type books, and that's what this is. I will say that I took my time with this one. I really did. I really focused on reflecting on the concepts and applying the concepts to my life. There are a bunch of really, really helpful tips and tricks in here in terms of self-development, in terms of business development. Anybody who has a business, I would recommend getting this. Anyone who's thinking about becoming a content creator or pursuing any personal goal, I would recommend reading this book. This is a business allegory, and it tells a fascinating story in presenting key principles of self-motivation, leadership, service, and achievement, and how to better believe in yourself and never give up. Sounds corny, but trust me, it's good, honey. Some of the favorite quotes for me: good enough never is. That's a little ouch, but it's like, you know what? I'll take that. Adversity versus defeat. Every defeat, every disappointment, and every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. Find it. Okay. More gold has been mined from the thoughts of man than has ever been taken from the earth. Do you hear me? Okay. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. This is really good for discovering your personal success, and it's a very relatable story. I think that if you're down in the rut or becoming overwhelmed, this is something that can help you out of that mindset for your business especially. And there's so many bonus goodies in the back of this book. Like, let me see, I wrote that down. You will absolutely return to this book over and over again. Literally, all of this is bonus. I mean, come on. Come on. I'll probably read this again. So this next book is called Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. Okay, this is a psychological thriller. It's very haunting and like dark. This was such a guilty pleasure read. As you heard earlier, I love me a dark read. The darker the better, the scarier the better, the gorier. Like, I'm into that, okay? Like, goth emo days, I'm into all of that. But anyways, this was a guilty pleasure. It has a very interesting storyline, and it's very mysterious, so I will say that. I read her last book, which I loved, You Shouldn't Have Come Here. I don't know if I did a review on that on my page. If I did, I'll link it up here. But it was such a creepy style, and the plot twist was banging, so I had to just check this one out. I want to say I read this within 3 days. 3 days, honey, because it was just so good, and I needed to know what the hell is going on with these people. So what is this about? After their mother passes, 3 estranged siblings reunite to sort out her estate. While going through their parents' belongings, the siblings stumble upon a collection of home videos that reveals a dark secret their mother took to her grave. Honey, I'm telling you, okay? The style of this narration is beautifully told. Each of the siblings' perspective changes as the story moves in chronological order. So I love that whole perspective thing of like picking up where the other left off and just seeing it from each different view. Yet again, a lot of these books are like that. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely a golden storyline in my opinion. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say it's the best book I ever read, but it was definitely a guilty pleasure read. It gave what I wanted it to give, and yeah, it didn't disappoint. So my favorite quote from this was like probably one of my favorite quotes out of all the books that I read. The best stories come from those that are flawed, broken really. Those who have endured trials and tribulations, those who have faced the world and came out on the bottom. Only they can tell stories worth listening to, for they have more than one beginning, more than one middle, that they've dragged themselves through, and more than one ending. And despite it all, their story continues. That hit me because I felt like that's my life. That has been my life. You know, trials and tribulations, I mean, facing the world, getting knocked to the bottom, time after time again, rising, has brought me to where I am now. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So yeah, that was really touching for me. Yeah, it was a really good book. So those are all the books I read this fall and tracked in my journal. yeah, if you guys are still here, if you made it this far, thank you. Please consider liking this video. It really helps to get it out in the ether so others can see the video in our collective. Which of these books are you going to read? Which of these books sound terrible to you? Which of these books sound like something you would pick up? Does anybody have any more questions about any of the books? Feel free to get down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you have a book recommendation for me, I'd love to hear about it. I'm really trying to maintain, a few videos within the month just to keep that consistency up. And I'm hoping to even pick it up some more. There's been a lot of exciting developments going on in my life right now. We are about to celebrate my kitten's birthday. She literally is turning 1 year old, January 19th. So I have a little Capricorn / Aquarius baby. And it's so funny too, because when we were deciding if we were going to adopt our cat, me and my partner were kind of going back and forth about it. They were kind of concerned with, how the cat would get along with our dog Cash, our fur baby, and he's an older man. He's getting grumpy, so we just didn't know how they would get along. And literally up until the last day, she had cold feet, and so I ended up getting it from a coworker who had rescued a pregnant cat that they found out on the streets, and they couldn't keep the cat and all of the kittens, so we were able to adopt from them. And once we picked her up, we instantly fell in love. She's just such a beautiful addition to our family. Thank God she's healthy. She's had all her immunizations, all of her testing and everything. And she's just been such a spunky ball of life in this house. So we'll be celebrating her birthday next week. I also have school starting soon. For those of you who don't know, I am a sociology major. So I study societal groups and how to make changes and impact societal systems, especially within the local community, the local government, and things of that nature. So going back to school, that's an exciting new change for me. Definitely have some things working in my career sector, some new developments, and celebrating some really exciting things this year. So just a lot of gratitude for all the blessings that are coming into my life. And I hope that you are also inviting in a lot of newness, preparing yourself, clearing out, and opening up a space where you can invite more things into your life this 2025. I think it's going to be quite a year for a lot of people in very different ways. So yeah, if you made it this far, thank you. I love you so much. Do you hear me? I love you. Okay, I hope that this journey continues to treat you well, that you are showing yourself grace, and that you are honoring yourself now and always. I will leave you with the same thing I always do, which is peace. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.